and we are live. Anyway, thanks for coming, Dan. You were telling me this week about some finds you made in the Blue Mountains on one of your explorations. And for anybody who hasn't tuned in before with my friend Dan, he's a bit of an adventurer in the Blue Mountains. Does a lot of historical research and a lot of bushwalking, camping, and he's got a deep knowledge of the area. And on one of his recent expeditions, I think there's a video coming out about it on his channel. But until then, he came across some artifacts, and they all tell a bit of a story. So I thought it might be worthwhile. You can tell me about it more. I've only got the brief information, but you can tell me more about them, and I'd like to share it with other people. So anyway, thanks for coming, Dan.
No worries, Dave. It's always good to talk about the history of the Blue Mountains. While I was doing all my hikes and doing Yowie research, I kept coming across historical things, and I just kind of got right into it, and I just like keep on finding more and more stories, and then showing people and telling people about these interesting stories that happened in the past, and some of them are quite similar to what happens today anyway, about people living in caves and making makeshift homes up in the bush, and they've got no money to buy a house or anything, so they go live in the bush and stuff like that. So, but we went on a bit of a hike on the weekend. I've been mainly just doing historical videos at the moment while my leg and my right leg and ankle gets stronger, until I can carry a pack to do Yowie research. But I haven't done any for, it's got to be probably, I'd go at least about 10 months that I haven't gone out. But I'm actually going to go out next week. So I feel that I can carry a pack into an area in the Blue Mountains with a couple of mates and go out there for a night. And that'll be the last time I go out until after pretty much summertime's over and too many snakes about. But anyway, when we went hiking, we come across some bottles, some old bottles, and this is when I'm not sure what it is. It looked like ones on the I've looked up. They say wine bottles, but it's hand blown, and you won't be able to see here. But on the side is like a wavy pattern, like goes up and down like that all the way around, so you can tell it's been twisted. Um, and it hasn't got the line going down the side. So the line going down the side, I think it was from 1918 or 1920 is that's when the machine started making the bottles. And before that period, they're all hand blown. And you can see in the bottom how it goes in.
Yeah.
So it goes in the good probably 2 or 3 centimeters, and that's where a bit of glass would have come out where they held it, the twist, and there probably would have been something up here, and then they twisted it around. There's like a nice little mark here. It's just we thought it might have looked like a pair of boots or a moon or something to do with the mark of the maker, but it's just an imperfection in the bottle. And sometimes
Okay.
imperfections, what I've read, sometimes imperfections like this can bring good money. They go for the imperfections. So to me, it kind of looks like a scorpion like this. I don't know. What do you reckon it looks like?
Oh, it's hard to say.
That just looks like an imperfection because another
Yeah.
one. There's another one just up here. It's just a dot though, pretty much right here. But I've never seen a bottle. But that was this was like right next to the other two, and the other two, the next one I'm going to show is a called Australian clayware.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so Bronga Brothers started in Penrith in 1890, and there's a few little chips in that. But I think there's a company here. There's like a little stamp. I don't know what it says. It said Bourne, Bourne, and I think it's Denby, Denby. So I think they made it and they put their stamp on it. I think they were a company that made these bottles, and you just bought them and said, "Hey, put this stamp on it, so it's our bottle
Yeah.
then." And then they just had,
As they do
yeah,
today with plastic packaging, you buy the packaging and they put your label on the front.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was, and they just put their little stamp in the side, Bourne. And then
Right.
they just put a little cork in there, and yeah, we dug this out of the ground, and you pretty much could only see a little bit of the top. And when we got it out, the handshake is there, that little thing to recognise that that's the Bronga brothers. So they, I've just done a little bit of research, but I'm going to make a video on this for my Blue Mountains History with Yowie Dan
Oh,
channel and
yeah,
just
no,
talk
do
about it.
that. Yeah, but just to let us know, what year do you think it would be?
Oh, it's got to be between 1890 to 1900 because they were only in Penrith for 10 years, and that was so. I
Yeah,
reckon it could be anywhere between 1890 to 1900, but it'll be 1890s because they and 1900 doing Katoomba. So 1890 to 1899, I'd go. So
yeah, yeah,
18. So you're looking at what 124, 130 years old. This, and it doesn't look too bad for
mm.
someone's gone and it had ginger beer. All these bottles were ginger beer.
Oh,
Someone's had a bit of a ginger beer and went, see you later on the ground. And
yeah,
a century and a quarter later, we've come along and found it. It
yeah,
hasn't
the
broken.
blazing. Yeah,
And
it,
there's only a little bit of chips in there, Dave, on the top, like little tiny
yeah,
ones. See,
yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned about people living out in the bush, in the area at the turn of the last century, or the century before last, I should say.
hmm.
Um, because actually, I watched a fellow on TikTok today, and he goes out to homeless people around Sydney, and he lives in the Blue Mountains, but I think he catches the train down and does it in inner city Sydney. But he was looking for stuff for a 77-year-old woman that's apparently living in a cave out there somewhere
Well, at the moment,
at the moment. Yeah, so.
yeah, jeez.
Yeah, so they've discovered her, and they're trying to get her stuff that she needs and all that sort of thing. And I would have thought the first thing would be to get her out of the cave. But anyway,
Might be a cozy cave.
oh, 77 years old, mate. You're getting a bit elderly then to be
Yeah,
living
I
in a
know.
cave.
She must have
But
had some bad things happen to decide to go live in a cave.
well, it's like that woman you did the recent video on. What was the name of her?
Audrey
Audrey,
Mountford. Yeah.
Audrey Mumford. Well, she was living in a cave on a banana chair, and that's how they found her.
Well,
So,
they found her bones, all
yeah,
on top of
yeah,
the chair and underneath it, because yeah, she'd been dead for 10 years, so there wasn't much left of her. And then before I found the bottles, we found we found bits and pieces, and so I'll just show you the thickness of this is probably 7 mil thick. That's pretty thick compared to today's bottles. It's probably 3 times as thick.
yeah.
Hand blown bottles, and you can see that they put little notches in there. And I'm thinking, oh, I wish I could find a full one of them. And then we went probably about a couple of meters away, and then we did. So this is the same company as they call it Australia. I called it urban ware, but it's Australian clay ware or Australian clay bottles. And there's a lot of them around. A lot of different. If you look up clay bottles, there's like every suburb back then had a company with the same bottles, just with the different advertising on the front.
Yeah,
So this one here, you can see it is Bronga Brothers. See the Bronga,
yeah,
um, and then you got the handshake right there. Try and get it for you guys to see. And then it's for Katoomba. So see the Katoomba there. And I looked up, and the Katoomba ones are supposed to be rarer than the Penrith bottles that are earlier because there's not many of these around. And this is a
okay.
Katoomba one. And I think that this one here is a Penrith one because the little notches that are in here, you can tell you can just put your finger in there, they're nice and round. And then you get these ones here, and they're more elongated, they're longer.
And how big's the marble in there?
Just like a normal little marble they used to play marbles with. It's like, it's like a cat's eye little one.
I
And
wonder
it,
if the kids. I wonder if the kids broke them open in the day to. collect marbles?
Well, it's clear there's nothing in it, but this is a soda bottle. The other one was a ginger beer. This is a soda
Yeah,
bottle, and then you can see how it's kinked there,
yeah,
and that might have been just for a bit of show. I don't know, or they just had that there for when they kinked it, something grabbed it to be able
yeah,
to put the kink. They couldn't get away from doing that, but they made it two on each side. Yeah, it's a thick bottle. Like the bottom here, the glass. You can see how thick it is. Like
yeah.
this is a heavy bottle. Um,
Right.
you get a normal Coke bottle, any kind of glass bottle of this size. I reckon this would be, because of this bottom here, three
Mm.
times as heavy. You can do weights with it. You can notice the weight in this bottle, and this is hand blown as well. So yeah,
Well, when you think of the mass manufacture of drink bottles, surprisingly, there aren't all that many left around today. But I think a lot of them were probably like our old milkos used to drop our milk off on the front doorstep at night, and you'd leave the empties out there, and they'd come back full of milk magically the next night.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I have found two old 1950s milk bottles. I got a big one from up around the Cessnock area, and then I found a small one, which is I've never seen a small one, probably a 250 ml, like a little throwdown beer bottle, and that was down in the Jamison Valley where the old Lura sewage treatment plant was that I walked down
right,
into. Yeah, it was on that video.
yeah, right,
And then I found the Recious Pilsner bottle from 1920 up down in the Valley of the Waters. So there's beer
mm,
bottles everywhere. People, I
yeah,
just thought, I thought to my mate when we walked down there that there was an area where two big rocks had gone like that, and it was like a big rock square on the bottom. I thought that'd be a good place to sit down and have a beer. It's someone 100 and something years ago thought the same thing and had a beer, and I thought when I seen these bottles, I thought I should go back there. There could be another one in there. So that's my next plan to go back there to that spot and try and have a look around because I got lucky because it was a lyrebird just did some scratchings and just saw it shine off the sun come out. It was a cloudy day and the sun come out and it just I can see it shine. I went, what's that? So I went down and I had like a little shovel with me, a little fold up one. So I started digging it out, and then 45 minutes later, digging out big tree roots that had gone over it. I thought it'd be broken for sure, and I'm like, nah, I took it out. So yeah,
wow.
it's fascinating what you can find down there. There's been so many people go down to these places. Like, there's anything down there.
Well, glass, apart from being breakable, is virtually indestructible. You know,
Yeah,
the it's not going to revert to sand, is it? You know.
no,
Anyway, that's really. It's like cordial was such a big thing back in that day. Like what other options did you have? You had milk, alcohol, or water to drink.
yeah, yeah. There wasn't many
So,
options, but they had the different cordials. They had a lot, different flavors than what they have today. You know,
mm.
and I think the
Oh,
flavors
really?
the flavors would have been um, pretty much, I don't know, they would have just put like lime juice or orange juice straight into the water and maybe added a bit of sugar. I think it would have been a bit lot different cordial than what we got today. I don't think
Yeah.
if you got a cordial back then, it'd be more watery, not that
Mm.
that really just sugar hit with a bit of flavour in it.
Yeah. Well, that's at Braidwood. Braidwood had a cordial maker in the late 1800s who used to take his cordials to Queanbeyan and Captain's Flat, and he'd do it in a cart. So obviously they were moving cordials all over the place. Well,
Hmm.
that's a fair hike in a cart, really, from Braidwood through to Queanbeyan. Um,
It is
like
too. I've been through there.
the route that he took anyway. But on one of his trips, Mr. Merrin was his name, and he was a cordial maker from Braidwood, and he was apparently confronted what is variously be described as a yowie or a, but not as I'd describe a yowie. It looked somewhat like a wombat or something to the effect. But whatever, he killed it with his the butt of his whip, and took it back to Braidwood and presented it. The police officer of the area saw it. The locals saw it. His wife complained after a couple of days and made him bury it. And yeah, so somewhere there's a mystery creature in Braidwood behind the old cordial factory. But
Well,
yeah,
that'd be good
cordial.
to dig it up.
What's that?
So it'd be good to dig it up and find out exactly what that creature was.
Oh, you know, I think attempts have been made to locate the place, but
Oh, so they don't know where their
no,
cordial. Do they know where the cordial factory was? Is there any like foundations left, or is it completely gone?
I think they know where the old place was. It's just I don't know the story behind it. But if you Google it, if you Google Merrin cordial Braidwood Yowie, I suppose you could use the search term, or strange creature or something like that. It'll turn up. Heaps of people have written about it.
Because what they say, I found in a lot of the old newspaper articles and that, a lot of stuff's made up, and it's not exactly like where they say it is. Might say, buried right behind. So us thinking right behind is within a meter or two, but their right behind could be 20 meters away. It's a big difference what they meant
Yeah.
back then to what we think today. So that's what I articles. And I actually looked up the Bronga brothers in Trove, and I sent you the I'm sure I sent it to you the advertisement, and it had all their different flavors that they sell.
Yeah,
Of
no,
the
I thought that was amazing. There was some flavors. I think I sent a thing back to you, said I'll have the sarsaparilla.
Yeah, I know. I've tried
Um,
sarsaparilla. I can't stand that stuff.
yeah, I love it. I love it. So
Try. I'll have
I,
a
I
look. Give me.
don't think I don't think I've ever tried a sarsaparilla cordial though. I've only ever had it manufactured.
Well, they were. It says the Blue Mountain Aerated Water and Cordial Manufactory. It was in Murray Street off Cascade Street at Katoomba, Bronga Brothers proprietors. It says the aerated waters, lemonade, ginger ale, ginger beer, soda water, hop beer. So you got an aerated hop beer. Wonder what that tasted like. Probably like a light beer. Sarsaparilla, orange champagne. That's a weird one.
Oh,
Well, it's not. It's aerated water, so they just got I don't know. Must just put bubbles in it. Maybe like a soda water kind of thing. And then you got seltzer water. Wonder what seltzer water is.
I don't know. I've heard
Like,
of Alka Seltzer.
yeah, maybe something similar. And then you got
Yeah.
cordials. One of them's cloves, so it's clove flavored, peppermint, lemon syrup, lime juice, hop bitters, ginger wine, raspberry syrup, orange bitters, lime juice cordial, and sarsaparilla. And it says here, new machinery has just arrived. Has just been added. Pure mountain spring water from a splendid well, 170 feet deep, pumped directly into the machines. None but the purest ingredients used. Customers cordially invited to inspect. And that's their advertisement from Trove in 1899.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so I might do a story
Yeah.
on the Bronga brothers and have pictures of that. So
Oh no, it
hopefully,
just amazes me. Like I don't do it so much nowadays, but I spent a lot of time in Trove, and it amazed me just how many times cordial got mentioned in the way of the story.
mhm.
So even if it was just briefly mentioned, so it must have been a big thing back in the day, cordial.
Yeah, well, there
Mm.
probably wasn't many things safe to drink and if it was manufactured and it was safer than to get. What did you get? Typhoid or something from drinking bad water?
Yeah, but I've always wondered about that. I mean, I mean, when I camped up in the snowy mountains when I was a kid, we drank out of the creeks. We didn't think anything of it. It was just pure mountain water, and it's the headwaters of the Murrumbidgee. It's you can step over the Murrumbidgee up there, and we drank the water on the long plain up around Coolanbill and Harris's Hut and Coolaman and Blue Water Holes. And none of us ever died or got any parasites or anything like that. But
Mm.
today, you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I used to drink the
And I,
water.
and I don't know what's changed in 40 years,
I don't
but
know.
you just wouldn't do it now. You'd use a life straw or
Yeah, just to be
some,
safe.
yeah,
Yeah. Like I used to drink the water when I first started doing Yowie research in 2005. I used to just get my water bottle was empty. I just fill it up in the creek, or if it was coming out of the ground or the waterfall, I just stick it there till it's full and drink it. You see a bit of dirt in there, it doesn't matter. And I never got sick, but after knowing that all that water's, even though it's coming out of the ground, it's coming from drains and everything up the top.
yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I might just filter it next time. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
would have just kept on drinking it. And I've been out with
No,
a couple of guys, and they drink it straight out of the creek and haven't got sick. So
yeah, no, where I was drinking it from, there was nothing up higher. There was everything was down lower.
yeah, well, it probably still would be good, Dave. It's just that you just kind of an older, a bit wise, and you think, I just won't take that chance being an older person. If you get really
Mm.
crook, it really hits you hard. When you're
Yeah,
younger, you don't care.
and nothing's changed much apart from the fact there's no sheep or cattle up there anymore. And I think they were still seasonally um, running cattle up there when I was a kid, when I was young, and so that'd be the only contamination you'd find in any of the creeks or anything, or if an animal died or something,
Yeah. But
and you
if you
would,
were up high, if you were up higher than them and then what they could go, you wouldn't have that trouble. It's only when you probably got down lower where the grass area was.
yeah. But I wouldn't go down. I only live 5 minutes away from the Murrumbidgee River, and I wouldn't go down there and drink that in a million years. Because, but, um, but
What's wrong with
if
it?
but if I drive upstream, you get to a point where it's pure. Like there's nobody putting any effluent in. There's
Yeah,
no pesticides or herbicides or anything else being washed in off the surrounding areas.
yeah, it's coming out of the ground. Yeah, yeah. Well, it does. You can taste it if you get it out of the ground straight away. It has that really, and it just a really clean taste. Like even you get the water out of the tap. You get that and you taste it. The water you got out of a spring. It's completely different.
Yeah. But
You know, you,
anyway, adding cordial adds flavour, doesn't it? And if you've got 8 different varieties to choose from, yeah, I reckon it'd be a really popular business.
mm, and,
And
and and
today,
and 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 they were there when, um, like the late 1800s and the early 1900s up to probably 1930s was, um, Blue Mountains was the place to go to get
yeah,
away because you didn't have it took ages to get there where you could jump on a train and after 1862, I think it was 1867, you could get all the way to Bathurst. And you can get there in a
yeah,
couple of hours. It might take you half the day, but that was better than trying to go to Newcastle and it'd take you 3 or 4 days.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that's why Blue Mountains was the place to go. Wasn't that far away from Sydney. You can get clean air. You can go walking down on the trails because most of the trails that we're hiking on today were all made back then. They're all new, and there's a lot of them that are closed. Um, and you do come across them sometimes when they bush bash. You'll just come across this trail and you'll follow it, and then it just disappears, and you go, "Oh, this must be one of the old trails." And this is one area that just still survives, but all the rest of it's all been overgrown. It's really funny, and you're kind of
right.
like, oh, you're like, where this isn't on the map because they just don't put them on the maps no more. But
So what year did they put the train up there? When did the train get to the Blue Mountains?
it's 1862. They built the lapstone zigzag that went from Emu Plains and it zigzagged over the Knapsack Viaduct. I got it on my Blue Mountains history,
Yeah.
and it zigzagged up. And then I think it took them they only went so far. I think the furthest they went to on the train was the Weatherboard, which was Wentworth Falls. And then they kept building it. And then I said, I think by the time I hit 1867, I could be wrong by a couple of years, but around 1867, it got all the way to Bathurst. And so then after that, it took a few years, and then ended up going to Orange and Dubbo's and all them places.
Yeah.
But you could get up there, and they had there was guides, and it was like a railway. I can't remember the exact name, but it was made by the railways to entice people to jump on the train, and it'd tell you where all the landmarks are. Like, it'll say to Glenbrook, you can go here to see this trail and see this, and you can go to Springwood, and then you go down and only like 2 miles from the station, you can hike into the Sassafras Gully, and Katoomba's got the Three Sisters, and this has got this, and there'd be like a little guide, and you can be on the train and decide where you want to go. So
yeah, well, I suppose a lot of people walked back in those days. So
yeah, they walked.
a holiday from Sydney. I mean, Blue Mountains has always been a destination. I always think of even when I was younger, I came across just a sign, but it was a mass-produced thing for Medlow Baths.
Yeah.
And had a picture of the hotel and all of that sort of thing, and which is quite historic in its own way. But I thought that burnt down.
Which one are you talking about? In Medlow Bath?
Is it Medlow Bath?
You're not talking about the Hydro Majestic.
Hydro Majestic, sorry, mate.
No,
yeah.
it didn't burn down. The 1968 bushfires, which claimed a few buildings, including Pilgrim Inn and a couple of others. There's actually a video on YouTube, and it shows them saving it. When I went to the Torella Cottage, a lady there that was the historian and telling us things, she said when the Second World War was on, a lot of the Americans went up there, GIs, to have a bit of a R&R. And she goes, they all got drunk and they smashed all the cutlery. So if you walk around one area, there's just smashed cutlery everywhere from the 1940s or 30s. And so it would be worth a mint now, but it's just all these shards of plates and cups and everything. They went crazy and started wrecking everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's a lot of history. And so yeah, I'm gonna do the Gwenny's Grotto video soon. I've done all the footage. I just gotta edit the footage. It's gonna take me a couple of days to do that. Because you film a lot more than what you're gonna show, and then you cut it right down. And I'm just hoping to do it between 10 minutes or something like that. And then
I'm going to pull you up on this, Dan. You always say to me, I want to cut it down. I want to cut it down. I want to make it shorter. If somebody's interested in the topic, more information is better than, I'm not going to put that in.
Oh no, it's not because of that reason. It's because I dribble a lot, and I don't want to. Just like it'll get people unsubscribing, and they stop using hiking thongs and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just I just talk in. A lot of times I've double taken things because I'm going, that just sounds shit, and I go back and do it again, and or you lose your train of thought, or some hiker comes through there and starts going, and you're like, oh. So yeah, I just like to get straight to the point and get all the things that people want to hear, and all the important things. Yeah, that's the only reason.
I love your videos, mate. I don't. I'm not being critical.
I know that.
Yeah, I'm quite happy if they're a bit longer. That's all.
Well, the Torella Cottage had to be about 40 minutes because you couldn't cut it short because it was so big and there was so much stuff in there. And I didn't really research it that well. I just seen it. I get the Blue Mountains Gazette emailed to me electronically, and I just go through it and see anything about history. And it said Torella Cottage, come and visit. I think it's the last Sunday of every month, and you pay $5. I'm like, oh, that's sweet, let's go. And I just looked up a little bit and seen the guy who made it, but I thought the lady, her name was Beryl. I thought she might have been the granddaughter. She wasn't. She was the daughter, but she was 100 years old when she died. So she collected everything from the 1890s till like 1988 when she passed away. So I seen a lot of things in there, like old spoons and knives and forks that I was using when I was young in the 70s.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. All right, mate. So when can we expect this video on Audrey's Cave?
Not
Sorry, on
Gwenny's
Gwen's
Grotto.
Grotto.
Um, I might, when we finish this, start editing a bit. But it'll probably be within a week. I'm hoping to get it out within a week. It's just that I've got a lot
Oh,
of things on at the moment, and it's just to find time. It's going to take me about 4 hours to edit everything down.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, that's good, mate.
yeah,
All right, Dan. Well, thanks very much for popping in tonight for a little while. I know you're tired, hard-working man that you are.
I've just been
Yeah.
sick lately. That's all.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
Yeah, just got the flu like everyone else and knocked me about. So
Yeah, I had it last week, mate. It knocked me around for about 3 days.
yeah, me too. I'm
No,
just trying to get over it. So yeah, it's funny.
no,
We didn't get it in the middle of winter. We get it when it's spring. So it's funny.
yeah, get it out of the way early anyway, mate. So
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to 2021, that's for sure.
Oh,
Or
2020,
2020. Yeah,
2020. Yeah, I know, bad year.
that nearly sent me insane. But anyway.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Dan. Thanks very much, mate. And I'll end the broadcast here.
All right. See you,
And
mate.
see ya.